Hello, my name is Rick Moore, and today I'm your host for Write, and I'm interviewing author Jude Matulich-Hall again about her book, The Eversteam Chronicles. There it is. How
The
you doing,
Eversteam.
Jude?
Good. I'm doing good.
Good. All right, let's begin. The opening scene is classic for the Everstream Chronicles. Describe it for our audience. The woman's line, "No, no, this won't do," is beautifully put.
Ah, thanks.
So describe it.
I had a lot of fun with this scene. So it starts. You think it's just going to be your average mystery noir story. This dark streets, dark rainy streets. A woman in patent shoes is with her dripping fur coat is running through the streets, desperate, damsel in distress. Goes to the detective's office, and it's the whole just buxom,
Right?
the coat slipping off her shoulder. She swings her leg out to seduce the detective so that she gets her way. And the detective is speechless, and you don't see the detective because the office is very dark, and there's just this one lamp illuminating the handwriting.
Right?
And she slams her hands on the desk, and she spills out her story and asks for his help. and and then the detective finally fumbles and speaks, and the woman is surprised because and shines the light on the detective, and the detective is a young, swarthy skinned lady. And so she's Penelope O'Connell. The woman was looking for Sean O'Connell, and
Oh,
who is Penelope's grandfather. And so the line, I really loved this scene because Penelope, her compassion really comes out. So right off the bat, I make it clear that she's a very compassionate character.
right.
Penelope is a very compassionate person, and so even though she's taken aback because the woman treats her so badly, and that kind of women treating other women badly, is it's an old story, right? And so, but despite that, Penelope sees that the woman needs help and still offers her help. And but the woman, she can't accept it. She can't accept that some you know man is going to come to her rescue. She can't have a young lady come to her rescue. Oh, no, no. And so that's it. That's the line. No, no, this will not do. Because the woman almost, like, she does desperately need this help. And so she almost starts to reach out to Penelope, but then her ego gets in the way, and she's like, no, 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 this will not do. And
Yep.
she walks out. So that character is not an important character to this story. She does show up in the story two other times, and
Oh,
she does become fair somewhat important later on in the trilogy, but
right.
that's a ways away. And I love her name is Honoria. It's an old
That's a nice.
Victorian name, and
Oh,
I
nice,
just thought it
nice.
was perfect for this woman.
All right. Um, you say a little bit further on in the novel that Penelope is waiting for, she feels that there's a bigger thing waiting to be found. And what is that that's coming her way? She feels that there's something coming her way that's very big, and she makes a practice of finding lost things.
Yeah.
So, what is it she feels that's very big that's coming her way?
Well, it's not, I don't make a really big deal about it, but there is something that runs in Penelope's family. So it does come out in other stories, but I do try to keep it subtle. There's like
Right?
an instinct, a gut feeling that Penelope tends to get. And later in the story, her ability to have visions and stuff comes out throughout the story. But and I don't clarify it in this book, but
Right?
in future stories, which is one you'll read pretty soon. Her grandmother had just this sense. It's not like they're not psychic, but it's just they get this sense of things. They're just a little, their foot is kind of over
The
that line between.
intuition, maybe?
words. Yeah, it's like a little bit more special than most people's intuition.
Right.
It's very, very subtle, but it's definitely there, that they get feelings that other people don't. They can see things that other people don't. But and so that's kind of that is Penelope just, she's had these crap cases. All she's doing is finding like lost
Lost
pets.
dogs.
And she just has this feeling that a bigger case is coming her way. And do you want? I don't know. Are we doing
Particular?
something? I'm sorry. What?
Nothing in particular?
It is. Yeah. There's a special spark.
Ah,
The spark of the organic power elements of this universe, and they're kind of like batteries, but there's normal sparks and then there's special sparks that are very rare. And I won't go into too much detail because it is a spoiler, but yeah, she's going to end up on a path to finding this special spark.
that's good. All right.
Secret spark.
All right. A little bit later on in your book, you introduce a character called the Pyro. The Pyro. Describe the Pyro's death scene, if you will, because that is a fascinating way for him to die.
Yeah.
What was his name, by the way?
Arseny Vladimir Bortsovich.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, and I loved that. I looked up Slavic names, and when I saw Arseny, I was like, oh my gosh, like Arseny. I mean, like, it's a real name, and so I had to name my Pyro Arseny. And he's a very special character, dear to my heart. He was the first character I came up with for this story.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and yeah, so I'm surprised
I would have thought Penelope was the first character you came up with.
No.
The Pyro was, huh?
Penelope took a while. I knew I was going to have a female detective. I
Right.
did know that, but that was about it. That's all I knew about Penelope.
Wow.
She slowly came to me through the writing. I went back and changed a lot when I was writing it, but with the Pyro, oh my gosh, that character was just crystal clear from the very beginning. I knew about this character. So his death scene is he's been a Pyro for a very long time. I mean, it was his job in the military. Then later, when he started working with Sean O'Connell for the establishment at the on the Equinox in the Equinox Brigade. So I mean, that's what he does. He catches things on fire, and so he's a little crazy though. And I go into why he's crazy, what caused him to go insane. But he just, he just kind of becomes this. His craziness just brings him into this one-track mind of he needs to create these bigger and bigger fires. And so this is his biggest one. He never hurts anybody. He just burns down like empty buildings, but it's this huge warehouse. It's got dynamite and petrol, and I mean, it's huge, and he's dancing around, sloshing the fuel around. Oh, I just love this scene. Smoking a cigar, and he's
that seems dangerous to smoke a cigar around all those explosives.
Yeah, yeah, all those fumes, right? So he puts I can't think of what the word is. He puts a fuse near the end of his cigar. I loved this little detail, so that when he gets down to the fuse and he puffs, and it starts to spark, and then he throws it over his shoulder, and he just stands there feeling the fire at his back, and he's just like giggling like like a little kid. And then then he starts to walk away, and he's anticipating the moment. He's waiting for a special moment to turn around and see it. And so he does, and he's just like, oh my gosh, this is glorious. It's the biggest fire I've ever created. But then his ears pick up on something, and he knows he needs to step back because he's set up dynamite in the middle of this warehouse. And so he knows he needs to get further back, but his shoelace is untied.
Oh
He
no.
bends down to tie his shoelace. He stepped on a dandelion and he's holding the dandelion in his hand. This is his craziness, right? He's just so
Right.
pointed. So then his attention is on this dead dandelion. And then he can't, he realizes that he's not going to get away, and the warehouse explodes, and he's looking at the dead dandelion, and then the next thing he knows, he's standing in front of the gates of hell in a long line to the gates of hell. That's the Pyro's death scene.
All right. The next character introduced is Sergeant Heathrow Jennings. I'd like to know what he's like as a man and a police sergeant. Last time you said that he had a hard time letting things go. And if you would, give some examples of that, please.
So he works really hard as a police officer. He works terribly hard, too much. I mean, no social life. It's kind of, I mean, we've seen these tropes, right?
Right.
He's obsessed with the Pyro. He really wants to find the Pyro, and in the process, he grows a deep respect for the Pyro, because he can't catch the Pyro. No one can catch this guy. And and so he just works. He works a lot. He kind of doesn't know how to have a social life at this point. It's kind of the downward spiral of,
I know the type.
You work, and then suddenly it's like, okay, you're not social, and then when you do have the chance to be social, you don't know how. So he's at first, I feel like he might be a little on the flat side. He does grow though, but he he didn't stand up for himself when his partner took credit for putting all these cases together for the Pyro. He didn't stand up for himself when the guy took credit.
Did the work? He did the work?
He did the work. The other guy took the credit. He didn't stand up for himself, so the other guy became inspector. Now that guy's his boss. And he won't stand up for himself. But at the same time, it's like he won't accept that he won't stand up for himself. So he's just like grinding away in his mind about how that inspector position should be his. And he just can't let go of anything. He can't let go of the Pyro, even after the Pyro's dead. He still wants to be looking into the Pyro. If I can't find the Pyro because the Pyro is dead, I'll find out why the Pyro is dead. Because it doesn't make sense that the Pyro.
Right.
I mean, yes, he's a crazy maniac, but a pyromaniac killing themselves in their own fire is just unheard of. And so that's kind of the first mystery of the story. As a man, he's a very respectful man. He's really kind to people. He definitely likes to help people, but it's kind of funny because he'll be assertive with something like the water isn't working in his apartment. So he writes this note to his super saying, you got to fix the water in my flat. But then it's like, please, thank you, with a smiley face, so he's like assertive, but then he feels he has to back off. And so he's kind of that kind of person.
And he believes in
everything,
the occult, everything,
the occult, magic, every religion possible, every god that's ever been, he believes in everything outside of himself. He's constantly
conflicted character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Penelope, going back to Penelope has a pocket watch that's engraved with the words, "Time reveals all things."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what's the significance of that? Or time reveals all is what it says, right?
Yeah, time reveals all. So I think it's her grandfather's way of telling her to be patient.
Right.
She's, be patient. Things are going to be okay. But at the same time, so Sean O'Connell is a time traveler. And although there is not, time travel is not going to come in heavily
Wait, she doesn't know that though, right?
She doesn't know that he's told her
suspects it?
stories.
Right.
He's told her stories, and she thinks the stories were just to entertain her. But
But in
Penelope,
truth, they were really true, right?
they're really true, yeah. And Penelope's mother is actually from another time. So, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
And this stuff, it doesn't, this story doesn't, these things are mentioned, but this story is not the story that focuses on that stuff. That's going to be later.
Okay.
Although I don't plan on going too strongly into time travel. My universe has rules about time travel. I don't
Really?
know if they're
Well,
new ideas or not. I have not read stories about time travel, but there are very strict rules about time travel in my universe. And
okay.
so it exists, but it's very difficult to do, and it's very hard on a person. And so I go into Clarence W. McGillicuddy is a time traveling bounty hunter, and I go into in this story I go
He's a
into
very cool character, by the way.
Thank you. I love that character. I love all my characters, right? And so I reveal some of the issues with time travel with him.
Ah,
Yeah, he doesn't know his birthday. He doesn't remember where he came from. He doesn't even know what the W stands for in his name.
right.
Because time travel does that to a person's brain.
All right. What is the significance behind the old man who's behind the Clockwork Raven?
The significance, huh?
Yeah.
So,
Who
he's
is he?
I'm sorry, what?
Who is he at first?
At first,
Yeah.
do he's in Unreality. So there's a parallel
Reality.
universe called Unreality where all the things go that people have stopped believing in.
Right.
And he has a raven, a Clockwork Raven. It's flesh and bone in Unreality, but when it goes into reality, it becomes clockwork. And so
Now he never travels into reality, I take it.
he that's later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to his significance. This is a
So
story.
his significance, well, he's the first antagonist. I don't know. I don't want to reveal too much.
Okay.
So he's the first antagonist. He's sending his Clockwork Raven to spy on Penelope because he knows about Penelope's background. He knows about her goggles, and he knows that she is capable of finding the secret spark, and he doesn't want her finding the secret spark. Because
okay.
yeah, I almost said something that I don't.
It's okay.
I don't know if these are, the kind of interviews that can have spoilers or not. I'm not.
Well, we'll save it for
Maybe next
another
year.
time. Right. All right. Explain, if you will, the animosity between Inspector Boring, who's a really cool character too.
Yeah.
The bad
Yeah,
character is a cool character. Yeah. And Penelope, and how it eggs her on.
So his animosity is that the O'Connell family has been private detectives forever. There was Sean, and then there was her parents, and now it's her. And they just, they are great at what they do, and so often they have solved a case before the police have. And so that's where that animosity comes from. It's like it's like, stay away from the O'Connells, don't give them any information, but they find the information anyway. And I hope to go into some short stories of mysteries that,
Okay.
I kind of started dabbling in that a little bit. I don't want to fall into tropes, so I write sparingly in the mystery stories, but anyway.
Yep. All right. How's it egg Penelope on?
Well, he gets in her face. So she goes to the Rusty Cog, which is basically a police bar where detectives and stuff go, and to find a case, because she's broke. She needs a job. She knows the bartender. The bartender knows her. And so she goes in, because even though, like, there's some police are willing to be like, yeah, we'll get you on this little case that we don't want to deal with, kind of thing. So that's what she's banking on, is that she can find someone to throw her a bone, throw her a case. So he gets in her face when he realized, Inspector Boring gets in her face when he realizes who she is. And he's so mean. This character's he's such a nasty character. I mean, he's one of those people that he finds someone's weakness and he'll just keep poking,
He bores
on
it.
And she's pretty vulnerable at that point. And so she runs out crying and stuff. But later, what eggs her on is that she knows she and Heathrow meet, they become friends, they share their stories with each other. So she has this she knows that Heathrow lost the inspector position to Boring, and she tries to get Heathrow to stand up for himself. She's like, this is ridiculous, just basically like, stand up for yourself. And just each time she comes around Boring's just horrible. He's horrible to Heathrow. He's horrible to her. He just likes to kick people when they're down. And anybody in a lower position than he just likes to rub their noses in the fact he's rubbing Heathrow's nose in the fact that Heathrow is not inspector. He's just throwing his weight around. And another scene is that Heathrow and Penelope, they think they figure out why the Pyro got killed. They have some idea.
Right.
That was kind of a spoiler. Spoiler alert! Spoilers. Yeah. So they find the Pyro's boot, and they think they figure out why he ended up getting blown up by his own fire, and they take that information to Boring, and Boring wants nothing to do with it because Penelope was involved. Simply because Penelope was involved. Oh, and he told Heathrow, the Pyro case is closed. Don't do any more with the Pyro case. But Heathrow is anyway. So it just eggs her on to just she just keeps trying to stand up to this guy, because Heathrow nobody's standing up to this guy.
And she does, right?
She does.
Right. Tell us about the Plague Doctor. What role does he play in your story?
So the Plague Doctor is Mortimer Pestle. He has a little plague mouse that lives in his pocket, his inside pocket, and her name is Masala. And Mortimer Pestle, he's an apothecary plague doctor. You never see him. He's always in plague garb. And
never see his face?
You never see his face, not yet.
Really?
You will later.
Okay.
I promise. But so he can communicate with the Clockwork Raven. And
oh, really?
They kind of look like each other. They both have beaks. So I don't know. So his first scene is when Penelope runs out of the rusty cog and slips on a piece of zucchini. She cracks her head open, passes out. The Clockwork Raven goes to the Plague Doctor, and Mortimer Pestle basically saves Penelope and takes her to his apothecary. And his role is he's not a huge character in this story, but he's a catalyst. So he's supposed to help keep Penelope from going on this journey to find this spark. So the old man in unreality and the Raven who can travel to reality,
right,
gets Mortimer Pestle in because he's supposed to keep her at his apothecary, but he doesn't. she leaves, and and he's trying to, he's kind of trying to, in a very soft way, be like, you need to rest. You just need to rest. When really it's like, we don't want you finding this thing. And so he's a character that interacts with the Clockwork Raven.
A minor character, but pivotal way, right?
He's a pivotal character. He's he helps some scenes transition. He's a character that explains some things that, you know,
Right.
and he comes into other stories later too.
Okay. All
So
right.
nothing, it might seem like there's a character that like, oh, you know, it's just kind of this character that appeared and
Right.
now they're gone. They all come back. There is no
Okay.
character that is unimportant.
Waste no characters, right?
Waste, waste, waste not
All
one.
right. Now, the name of the book is the Eversteam Chronicles, Book One. And this is author this is author Jude Matulich-Hall.
Yeah.
And so can you hold up your book one more time?
Yeah. The Eversteam Chronicles by Jude Matulich-Hall.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Good
And
enough.
gonna be having another book coming out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got an Eversteam anthology coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
a
good.
Bunch of stories by me and a couple by some friends.
Now, Jude, give them your web address.
www.judematulich-hall.com.
And your Facebook address?
Is JMH Writers and Illustrators Group.
All right.
Also, there was something else I was going to talk about. I'm also on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Okay. I'm everywhere. LinkedIn.
You're ubiquitous, in other words, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just under my name, Jude Matulich-Hall.
Jude Matulich-Hall. All right.
As long as you spell my name right.
All right. So the book is published by Whitecap Publications, which is www.whitecappublications.com. And until our next interview, which will be next week at Wednesday, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Okay.